Hey everyone, I hope I'm live. I better be live. Okay, it's Lisa. I'm with Berkshire Hathaway, and today I'm going to show you 2538 North Ashland number 1. I have a very special tour for you today. I want to show you first off that Wrightwood Park is right across the street. And one of the things that's so great about a home like this property is during a pandemic, how amazing to be right across the street from a park, right? This is one of my favorite places in Chicago, this park. We're also right near Prescott School and Midtown Athletic Club. So now I'm taking you in. This is the main floor. This is a duplex. It's 3,000 square foot on 2 levels. And it has 10-foot ceilings, which is pretty spectacular. And this is really a special home because it's a duplex and the bedrooms are up. And usually the bedrooms are downstairs. That means it has a much higher value. Also because of these 10-foot ceilings. So I really love this home for COVID. It's a good COVID buy because of that, because of the location, because of the park, because of the split floors like this, and because it's so huge. You have a lot of space for multiple offices here, and you can kind of have some privacy. So I really thought a cool thing to do today would be to show you this home, how you're going to live in it, what's so special about it, and kind of what the holidays might be like living here. So I invited my friend Morgan Gabrielson and his new venture called Adventure in a Glass. It's a super cool educational company he's starting. He does private events, education on wine. He can do corporate. He can come to your house, and of course he'll tell you a lot more about it than I can. But I love him. He's really brilliant in wine and also a really sweet person. And so my other person that is helping us today is Bottles Up in Lakeview. They're on Broadway. So we're going to tour the house and talk about wine today. So I've got to get... Are you in, Morgan? Let's see here. I think you're in. Okay, I think he's in. Anyways, okay. So this first room on the main floor is a living room. It's an open floor plan. You can see I'm right by Ashland, but it's super quiet because we have really good windows here. But it's an open floor plan, so I'm in a big living room with a separate dining area and a kitchen. And I chose this room because it's really super cozy with that gorgeous fireplace. So this winter and this fall, if you buy a home like this, you're going to be hanging out here. My clients light this fire every single day, and they actually use the living room, which is crazy because often the living room is like a throwaway. So for this room, because it's so sweet and cozy, here's the wine that we picked. And this wine, I think we said that this is going to be the Hannukkah room, so you could celebrate Hanukah here. So Morgan, I'm trying to get you in. Let's see, what do I need to do? Morgan, are you in? Are you joining me? I've got to find a way to get Morgan in here. Okay. Go live with Sun Record. I'm getting him in. We're waiting.
Hello there.
Yay!
How are you?
Oh my goodness, I'm wonderful.
Well,
So
the house is gorgeous.
Right? And we're by the cozy fire. I'm sitting here.
Yeah.
We're by the cozy fireplace. Actually, Rebecca picked out this tile. And she's an interior designer, and she kind of custom designed this.
Well, it's a gorgeous home, and that's a super cozy room. Looks great for entertaining or chilling and watching a movie or whatever.
Yeah, hanging out every day, really.
Yeah, so Start Conde, first of all, we chose a South African Syrah, and the reason why we chose it for the fire and the cozy and the, the chilling out is because Syrah it's an incredible grape. It makes an incredibly diverse amount of wines. And the thing that's so special about South Africa's version and the way that their soils and the way that their weather impact that grape is that you get this incredibly rich, chocolatey, gourmand finish. Mm-hmm. And then that blends into the signature black pepper of Syrah, and you get almost a mole feel on the finish of the wine. And it's very big, it's very rich, it's very soft focus, and it's very opulent. But also like super delicious. People, when they have these kind of wines, whether they be from the place that you're going to get the chocolatey, gourmand sort of interp on a Syrah are going to be South Africa, Israel, and Washington State. And people generally find these really addictive. If they're Syrah drinkers, once they try them from these regions, they get incredibly addicted to them because they're so soft, they're so rich, they're so beautiful. And there could not be more perfect for a cold night, lighting your Hanukkah candles, having some wine, because wine is a big part of celebrating Hanukkah. I mean, it may be a little bit inappropriate, but I was talking to a friend about decorating for holidays, and they were asking why Hanukkah ornaments are blue and white. And I said, well, it's just because the Israeli flag is white and blue, because doing Hanukkah ornaments and stuff like that is really an American thing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's really more of an American thing, but I said I celebrate Hanukkah traditionally, which is that you light your candles, you say your prayer, you teach your kids to gamble, and you drink. That's how you authentically celebrate Hanukkah.
You crack me up. I love it.
Well, we play dreidel, right?
Yeah, right.
Dreidels gambling.
Is it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a gambling game. It has a different letter on each side.
Right.
And you play for little gold-covered chocolate coins.
That's right.
And you bet on what side. Yeah, you bet on which side it's going to come up, and then the person who wins gets all the coins. So it's a gambling game for kids.
I never thought. I mean, I did it when I was a little kid in my grandmother's house. So I don't even remember. Okay, well, would make sense that we're good at gambling, right?
But that's how we celebrate.
I don't want to be politically incorrect, but
right, we don't want to play too many stereotypes here, people.
What?
We don't want to play too many stereotypes here, people. But I mean, it really is like Hanukkah's really a family holiday. Mm-hmm. The kids are playing dreidel. They're eating their candy that they win. The grown-ups are having a nice glass of wine and some latkes. And you light your candles. It's really, a lot of Jewish holidays are really built around the home, and Hanukkah even more so. I mean, as far as I know, there's not even really a service for it. You just do it at home. Mm-hmm. And so there's nothing more perfect than a warm, wintry, peppery, chocolatey wine to have by the fire while you're celebrating with your family.
And this is the perfect room to be doing that. So I think
absolutely.
Cool. Anything special about like Syrahs from Oregon?
You don't really see Syrah from Oregon.
I forgot already. Gosh, I'm sorry.
Oregon's a little bit too cool climate.
No, it's not Oregon. I'm sorry. Where is it?
This is South Africa.
I'm sorry. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So like I said at the beginning, it does really have that chocolatey, gourmand, mole flavor to it.
Where in the United States do you get Syrah?
Mostly, I mean, there'll be California Syrahs that are going to hew a little closer to either a sort of a dry earthiness or a deep sort of dark earthiness, which is a little more of a French characteristic. But the main place that produces like killer Syrahs in the U.S. is Washington State.
Washington State. Okay, that's what I was saying.
Washington State is going to give you a similar flavor profile to South Africa. It's going to have all that chocolate. It tends to be like a little bit bigger than South African Syrahs, but it is going to have the same kind of big, chocolatey, foody richness that South African Syrahs are so famous for.
Okay. You're almost talking me in. I'm a white wine drinker. You're kind of talking me in. Maybe I would try a red. I'm not sure.
Well, it's a pretty good one. It's a pretty good one.
Anyways, you guys can get this at Bottles Up.
Absolutely.
All right, so I'm going to move on now and go to the next. I'm going to boot you out, and you'll come back for the champagne room. All right, we're going on with the tour. Okay, so that was fun. My 30-second memory recall, that was pretty bad, I know. All right, so again, this is the main floor. We have a dedicated place to eat here. It's not sectioned off because it's open, but big, beautiful kitchen. And this home was built 3 years ago, and Sustainability is the builder. They do a really great job. They've been around a long time, really great quality builder. Really big, beautiful, huge kitchen, all open, all Viking appliances in here. That goes back to the back, but you can see this huge refrigerator, microwave, big Viking stove, and like all beautiful quartz countertops. And this is my favorite view right here. This is the killer view, okay? This is what I call the money shot, because who wouldn't want to be cooking in his kitchen and then looking out over this every day? It's so perfect. Anyway, so now we decided to use the kitchen for Thanksgiving. So I am going to invite Morgan back in somehow. Let's see how I do that. Morgan, I've got to get better at this. Hold on, here he is. Okay. Morgan, I'm asking you to come on back in. So we're going to do Thanksgiving in the kitchen. So obviously,
Hello.
Hey, that didn't take
Hello
long,
again.
right?
That's right.
Hello again.
You did it.
Hello, hello. So, oh, look, this is cute. My clients have their names on these glasses.
Oh, that's so cool.
They're so sweet. So this is a great kitchen. This is, I think, about, you know, Thanksgiving, really.
Yeah.
If I had a home like this, I think that would be an amazing place just to hang out with my family. I like the fact that it's open. You can kind of cook and talk. You can hang out. You got the fireplace going. So it's just a really, really nice home. I think this November, this will be a really beautiful home to hang out with your family. And as much as we can celebrate, right? Celebrate as much as you can.
That's right.
Right. So Morgan, this is the wine that Morgan picked out for Thanksgiving.
So I picked for Thanksgiving to celebrate in that gorgeous kitchen, which I'm sure is amazing to cook a giant meal like Thanksgiving in. It looks like there's tons of room there. Zweigelt is a grape from Austria. I feel like when you're talking about Thanksgiving, you know, Gamay, of course, is a classic. I feel like people sort of move towards those like light to medium weight reds with like some tannin, but not a huge amount of tannin, nice red fruit, and ideally some kinds of herbaceousness or spice qualities to the wine. Because people sort of automatically go for reds, they sort of automatically go Pinot Noir Gamay because those are such classic stories. Because Beaujolais, you know, Beaujolais Nouveau is the week before Thanksgiving always, so everybody always has Gamay on their mind. And it's also a perfect pair for sort of everything that's on the table at Thanksgiving. But Zweigelt is something that people don't think about as much, but is just as good a pair, if not better, for some people, because the fruit on Zweigelt is a little bit darker than most Beaujolais and definitely darker than most Pinot Noirs. It has a little bit more of a middle section. The oaking, the oak process on it is going to be a little more aggressive, so the wine is generally going to be a little rounder and have a little more firm texturing to it. And then the finish is going to be a little bit longer and a little bit drier than a Pinot Noir. And it usually also has some fantastic herbaceous flavor tones to it, and it leans towards baking herbs, which is fantastic because it leans towards, you know, rosemaries and thymes and oregano kind of spice flavors.
Well, with turkey, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it blends in, and I feel like it really brings out those flavors in not only the not only does it blend well with the turkey, but it works well with a lot of side dishes, because if you're doing vegetables, if you're doing stuffings, obviously those are going to have a lot of herbal content and be very highly spiced. And then you're having potatoes and side dishes and all kinds of things. And I feel like it's not overpowering, but it does have some strength to it and some fullness. So it adds to all the flavors that you're working with, but it doesn't overpower anything. Because the problem with trying to find a red is you want to find something that's satisfying, has a good mouthfeel, has a lot of texture, but doesn't overpower everything that's on the table.
Yeah, I'm not a huge turkey fan. Okay, so you have to eat turkey pretty much on Thanksgiving, unless you opt to go another route altogether, ham or whatever. Some people just have Italian food. I know. But I can't think of
You're a little bit quiet, Lisa.
Can you hear me?
There you are.
Sorry. Oh, okay. All right. What I was saying is it's so hard to think of what to have for Thanksgiving with turkey. I think
a lot of people, it's one of the things that's like spicy food. I think a lot of people are intimidated by Thanksgiving because there's so much on the table. And I think people get scared of reds with poultry. But the fact is, turkey actually has a lot of flavor. And if it's done right, there's a really nice amount of fat still in the meat. So you have a lot of opportunities for things to pair with it. I always sort of say, when you're dealing with a table where you're not sure, are people making stuffings that are really spicy? Are they making stuffings that are really herbaceous? Are they making things that are super savory? Are they making things that have some sweeter elements? Then you want to find something that can kind of bridge that gap. And so I always say, red's fine, red's great. It's going to taste great with a lot of things. But maybe go for things that are like slightly more acidic and not as high tannin. And with Zweigelt, you get that, but you get a lot of body and a lot of texture. So you're not giving up that nice, rich mouthfeel that red drinkers want in order to get things that will work with all the foods. And it's also nice because people who are not necessarily big red drinkers will find a lot to love in a Zweigelt. It won't be something that'll be over the edge so far that someone will have a hard time with it that normally drinks a white.
You're almost making me want a glass of Zweigelt.
I mean, Zweigelt's pretty cool. It's actually a kind of a designer grape because the two main grapes in Austria. What?
Super cool looking bottle, right?
Yeah, Im Fluss means in the flow, because this vineyard is actually right along a large stream or a small river, depending on how you look at it. And so they named this particular wine that comes from that part of the vineyards, the Im Fluss. And it's just, Zweigelt's a fantastic wine. It's a really good bridge gap for people who like different things without going to sort of the traditional everyone will like it wines. And I think Zweigelt gives you a lot. It's got a little bit of funk, but not too much to turn anybody off. It has herbaceousness, but not enough to be off-putting. It has tannin, but not so much that it's going to really hit someone's mouth hard if they're not used to tannin. And the fruits are really great. It's a really great fall wine. I mean, in the same way that Gamay and Pinot Noirs are fantastic fall wines, Zweigelt sits right in there, but a little bit plussed up.
I think Bottles Up, what I loved about, this is the first time I was in that store, and what I loved about it is that it was a small little boutique-y feel. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they specialize in these more unique finds.
Yeah, Melissa does a great job.
Interesting. It was interesting for me to be in there and look.
She does a great job. I mean, she really does span the gamut in a way that lets people explore comfortably. Because a lot of times when you go into wine stores that sort of have a big focus on doing things that are like super unique, everything is a little challenging.
It might be too much. It might be too
much. I think the balance that Melissa strikes really well is that if you're just looking for something cozy, comfy, I don't want to think about it, or if you're looking for a patio pounder, or if you're looking for a big butterball shard, she She has all of those, but if you're looking for orange wine, if you're looking for pet nat, if you're looking for really great sort of off the mat burgundies, if you're looking for any number of things, she also has those. So you sort of have the option of walking in the door and saying, what mood am I in? What do I feel like? How challenged do I want to be? And someone there can help you find something that is going to be perfect for you, regardless of what your mood is or how adventurous you feel that day.
Yeah.
Which I think is really, it's a tough balance to strike, and I think she strikes it really beautifully.
Yeah. So I'm definitely going to be going back. All right, let's
Yeah.
I'm going to boot you out, and then I'm going to show the next part of the house, and I'll bring you back in, okay?
Absolutely.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Okay, guys. That was interesting, right? I'm so not a red wine drinker, but Morgan makes me want to try, doesn't it? I mean, I'm just excited listening to that. Anyways, so now we're still on the main floor. This is a guest bedroom. We're not going to spend too much time there. And actually there's 3 full baths. Usually these duplex towns only have 2.5 baths. This is really beautiful. Just real simple bathroom, very clean. All of the tile right there all the way up. Beautiful hardwood floors throughout. And actually, I'm going to show outside, then we're going to come back into the master bedroom, because the master bedroom is where we're going to have champagne. Woo-woo. So we'll do this real quick. We'll go outside. Let's see. Get this. So they have an amazing outside space. This is right outside the door here on the main floor. And this is where Rebecca has coffee. I think she works here a lot in the summertime. It's actually nice right now. It's a beautiful day. And then I just want to show you this deck. So they have the full garage rooftop deck, which is amazing. It's huge. And usually there's going to be a big umbrella up right here over this table. It's down right now. Oh, there's the umbrella. So I just want to show you how big this deck is. That's huge. This planter is all built in. The furniture is all built in. And they did the pergola too here. So it's really an oasis. Usually this table here with the umbrella up, this is where my client works all summer long. This is actually her summer office. So for the fall, I think you're still going to be grilling out here. And they've got a heat lamp. We'll see how warm that heat lamp is. But it really just a great and really amazing space, and very usable. Often I find these outdoor spaces, they're so hard to get to. They're really not very usable. So for me, I'm a big fan of making sure spaces are usable. All right, going back in because it's cold. Let's see if I can scoot back. Right here. I didn't wear my coat. That's why I'm cold. Thanks. All right. Here we go. All right. So now we're going into the master bedroom. It's huge. Great space. Just really tranquil in here. My client put out roses because she's so sweet. And I thought this would be a really great space to do champagne, because where else are you going to drink champagne, right? Well, actually, you can drink champagne anywhere, I guess, right? I mean, that's just kind of how it is. I love champagne. But here is the huge bathroom with the steam shower. Really pretty, just real simple again, elegant, clean, modern looking. All righty, so I'm inviting Morgan back in. Let's see her. I'm getting better at this. Hi, Morgan. We're waiting for you.
Hello there.
Here's the champagne.
That's right.
With a little rose.
Look at the rose on the bed. We're being romanced.
Dude, this looks like a beautiful bottle. Jeez.
It's a gorgeous, gorgeous champagne. It's in the, Canal du Chêne is in the Montagne. And so they are a great sort of entree into smaller champagne producers, because I think what most people see is the Moets and the Clicquots and the, all the things that they're used to seeing all over the place. And there's a whole world of smaller producers that are making really gorgeous, sustainably produced family reads on champagne. And the one of the things about champagne that is so amazing and sort of means that there's almost a limitless number of things for you to explore is that champagne is really like a painting. I mean, it's really an artist's wine. It's a really long process with a lot of steps where you're making choices at every step where you have a lot of options. And so each individual, what they call them is a chef de cave. And what each individual chef de cave has before them are all of these options in terms of how dry is it, what's the dosage, how long do you leave it on the lees, how long do you leave the base wine in oak, what's your assemblage, which means what's your recipe, essentially. Because a lot of these houses...
Assemblage. Is that what you said?
Assemblage.
Assemblage. I'm learning French.
Yeah. A lot of the champagne houses will have either libraries, which is where they keep every year separate, or they will have a blend of every year that they've brought in harvest, and they'll blend pieces of that with the current year's harvest to maintain their style and their flavor and their deal for whatever their champagne house is. So even if places are next door to each other, there will be huge differences in the champagne. Some places are winemakers only. They don't grow any of their own grapes. Some places grow all of their own grapes and make their own wine. Some places do a blend of the two. And as a result, each house that you try is going to be somewhere on an incredibly broad artistic spectrum and is going to deliver you really unique things.
So what can you tell me about this house?
So Canal du Chêne in particular, I love, and I think it's one of my favorite sort of see how you feel about champagnes, because they don't veer incredibly wildly to either of the sides.
Can I hear you?
They really center themselves. The champagne is clear. The acidity is nice and high. The bubbles have a great mousse, which is that feeling that you get in your mouth, that like creamy sort of almost like a sorbet feeling that you get when the bubbles are just right.
Can you spell that? Mousse?
Mousse.
Mousse. Mousse.
So it's a great mouth feel. It has some brioche, so you can get a feel and an idea of how the lees affect the wine and what they bring to the party. And it also has a lot of intensity because they generally use a nice amount of Pinot Noir. So it's fairly intense. It has richness. It has that great long champagne chalk minerality to it that you expect and love from a champagne. But it really rides a great balance point where it's one of the wines, this and Paul Roger White Label are the two things that I always say, this is a great champagne because one, it doesn't break the bank. So
does this have a year to it? Like some champagnes have a year of vintage or no?
So it's actually pretty rare to have a vintage in a champagne that's going to be remotely reasonably priced.
I believe that, yeah.
Mostly what they do is non-vintage. And the reason that they do that is so most champagne houses, the way that they work in terms of their output is they make a wine, they make a champagne that they make a fair amount of that is supposed to represent the house. And that's going to be a non-vintage because they want to include multiple years of the still wine to maintain consistency over hundreds of years. I mean, Canal du Chêne's been making champagne for 150 years. So they want there to be a level of consistency so that when you buy a bottle of Canal du Chêne, you know what you're getting. It evokes what they want it to evoke. It says what they want it to say. It represents Canal du Chêne in the way that they want it to. Then almost every house will then make vintages where it's just the main label but vintage. And then they will make what is their house prestige champagne. And for Canal du Chêne, they make one called Charles VII. which was a wine made for Charles VII. So they have that. Paul Roger has Winston Churchill. Veuve Clicquot has Le Grand Dame. Moet, they're a little bit separated, but they have Dame. Pommery has Cuvée Louise, and those are going to be things that primarily speak to the year and secondarily speak to the house. So,
I understand.
Yeah, when you're doing those, you're saying, we want to talk about 2020 as interpreted through the lens of Canal du Chien. Whereas this label, the label that you see around more, is going to be the entire statement is of the house style.
That makes sense.
So it doesn't make it less valuable. It's a completely different goal. One is meant to show the house. The other is meant to show the house's interpretation of the year. So
No,
they
I
have
get that. It's a
completely
great
different
explanation.
goals.
I mean, that's for someone that's learning more about wines. I mean, I've been drinking wine for a long time, never studied them.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of wines you're looking for the vintage, but I'd never understood that. You know, and that makes so much sense in Champagne.
Yeah. And actually in Champagne, if you're starting to sort of explore Champagne and try different things and figure out what stylistically works for you and what you enjoy and which ones you like, I actually recommend that people avoid vintages for a while until they understand what they like. Because if you try Paul Roger and you're like, Paul Roger, you know, I respect what they do, but it's not necessarily to my taste, then you don't necessarily want to buy the super expensive Paul Roger version. Whereas if you love Pommery, then you say, you know what, I know that I really like Pommery. I want to see how they interpret individual years. So I'm going to go for some Cuvée Louise and shell out the bucks. But of course, bedroom's perfect. It's romantic.
Right?
It's sexy. It's all the things that you want from Champagne.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And Canal du Chien it's such a great, not necessarily to say starter wine because it's very complex and there's a super high level of execution, but it gives you a really good idea of all of the elements that go into an amazing high level champagne. And when you have Canal du Chien, you can then say, you know what, maybe I want a little more acidity. I'm going to try some that are brighter and a little more highly focused. Maybe I want more Lise time. I want more brioche. I want more butter. I want more richness. And it's a great way to sort of figure out where your interests lie in terms of champagne.
And then we'll just call you and get find out the next step.
I'm happy to help. I'm always happy to help.
We'll go to Bubbles Up and ask Melissa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. She has an incredibly good sparkling collection. All the way from things that are very affordable to things that are prestige, and all of the different styles and ways to make sparkling wine are really well represented.
Okay, super. Yay. All right, listen, I'm going to boot you out, and then I'm going to go downstairs, and I'm going to boot you back in.
All right.
All right.
I'll see you in a minute.
Okay. All righty. So heading on down. We just have one room downstairs with wine, guys. And that's going to be for Christmas. So I really love this lower level, and I'll tell you why as I get down here. Basically, okay, look at this room. It's crazy. So is this a room or is this a room to hang out in? It's amazing. It's so huge. And what I love is these big picture windows. Usually when you're on a lower level, you don't have this big picture window. You get a lot of light coming in here because of that. And again, you've got about a 10-foot ceiling in here. So 10-foot ceiling, big window, and you've got some berming outside. Berming is when you put trees and stuff and plant trees in a way that make more space and absorb noise. So beautiful lower level, huge space. And it's really the perfect space to celebrate any kind of holiday. I know for a fact, because I've been here, and because I love my clients, and we've had huge dance parties down here. Okay, football, which I don't watch, but they watch football, and then like a major dance party. And Darts. Here's a dartboard. Yay! And they'll testify the fact that I'm really super good, right, guys? They're here somewhere. That I'm really good at darts. I'll take anyone on at darts. All right. So this space to me is the kind of space that you're really gonna love for the holidays. I can see, maybe not so much this year, but the next couple of years, having your family over here. There's going to be people upstairs cooking, people downstairs playing games and hanging out and watching whatever. Hopefully watching like tennis, if there's tennis on. No, I guess they're going to be watching football. So now I'm going to invite Morgan back in because we're going to do Christmas downstairs. We picked out a wine for Christmas. Here we go. Hey, Morgan. Oh, my goodness. Yay. You're back.
Hey, I am.
You're back. Here's this beautiful wine we have for Christmas. Oh,
Yeah.
Where's Kitty? Where's Kitty?
Oh.
What are you doing down there?
It's a good thing I'm on my headset. My cats will be going crazy. When they hear meowing, they're like, who is it? Is there a visitor?
Who is that? So this is Kiona. Hi, beautiful. You want to say hi? Woo! This is my cat. It's going to be taking part in this, right?
That's right.
All right. So here's a Kiona Cabernet. Hi, beautiful.
Yeah. So this is a Cab Sauv from Washington State.
Mm-hmm.
Washington
That's why
State.
I'm thinking of Washington. I know
Yeah, because of this wine. Totally makes sense. I think a lot of people default to Napa when they think of Cab in the United States, but Washington Cabs are so exceptional. They really bridge a gap between old world flavors and style, if you're a Bordeaux drinker, if you're generally a Bordeaux drinker, and then California style wines, where this has the incredible weather, the grapefruit forward nature, the richness and the sort of like larger mouthfeel that California wine drinkers love, but it also has tons of structure, tons of artistic integrity, super long finishes, great terroir, and it has a little bit of a lifted finish, which is incredible and very unique to Washington Cabs. And it's why they're able to make these highly structured, ageable, really powerful Cabernets.
So this is a much bigger red than the ones we had upstairs, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it depends, right? Because the Syrah is very big on the front, but very soft on the finish. Okay. This is a much longer, much more structured finish than the Syrah has, and it has the same bigness on the front. So start to finish, yes, the biggest wine, absolutely.
And what do you see this? What kind of meal do you envision this, or not? I mean,
I think Cab is a lot more versatile than most people think it is. I mean, a lot of people tell you that you just have to do steak. I think that there's a ton of things that you can do it with. I mean, of course, meatier dishes, absolutely. But if you're making like a stew, or you're making a pasta dish with like a heavy sauce, like a ragu, or you're doing a steak, or you're doing a roast, or you're doing a bigger pork dish or lamb dish, I think it goes great. I think that what you're looking for is just things that have a little more fat, because that really is going to...
I would want this with like sugar cookies.
Sugar cookies?
Yes. It's got fat in it, right? Butter.
Yeah.
No,
here's the thing about that. Here's the thing about Cabs with sweets.
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work well, because the wine has a lot of tannin. Okay. And so it creates a sort of like drying impact on your palate. And so what happens is you have a bite of the cookie, then you have a sip of the wine, and it's amazing. The same thing with chocolate, the same thing with sweets. You have
That's
you have the
what
first...
I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing. However, what happens is then you have the next sip of wine, and the wine is really dry for you. Okay. The sugar does a weird thing to your palate, and it makes the wine feel kind of astringent. That's why I always, I would say stick to more savory things that are a little fattier, and have a little more need to be broken down by the wine.
Okay.
And then you'll get this incredibly rich, full experience. And this is from...
For something else that we don't want to see.
Listen, I mean, they always say, when you have a dog, you have a pet. When you have a cat, you have a roommate. That's how that goes.
How it goes.
So Kiona is an incredible producer, very responsible, small production, incredibly artful, very sustainable, really put a lot of focus on being good keepers of the earth. And this particular wine is from Red Mountain.
Okay.
Red Mountain is probably one of the highest elevation points in Washington State. And the thing a lot of people don't know is that people think Washington, they think Seattle, they think wet, and the west coast of Washington is actually a rainforest. It's a deciduous rainforest. But the minute you hit the Cascade Mountains, if you ever fly over it, it's crazy. It goes from green to brown like that. There's no transition. And once you hit those from the Cascades all the way through the Dakotas and Montana, you're in a desert. So Eastern Washington, where all the wine comes from, is an extremely hot weathered desert biome, which is why, you go, oh, Washington, cool climate, up north, they're probably going to make like Pinot Noirs and Gewürztraminers. No. It's Syrahs, Cab, Merlot, big Rhone white blends do incredibly well. There are some exceptional Rieslings, but that's an outlier to the data set. There are places like you get so high. There's an elevated sort of hill mountain that is called Rattlesnake, and you literally can't grow anything on it. It's completely bald because the ground, you've got a desert biome and then you've got high elevation. And they have to, thanks Diane. Diane's from Washington. That's why she loves when I talk about Washington. They have to irrigate.
Talk about Washington?
Yeah, because she's from there. They have to irrigate basically to get anything to grow, but they're very careful about limiting it. And the result is that they get this incredibly rich, big, structured, dynamic, hot weather fruit from a pretty far north place in the world. And Kiona specifically, and Red Mountain, if you're looking for really high quality wines, specifically Cab Sauv and Syrah, Red Mountain on the label means you're going to get really, really good wine. And value for money, Washington knocks it out of the park. I mean, even when you see super high level Merlots and Cabs and some Syrahs that come from Washington where you're paying like a good amount, you're paying $45, $50 a bottle. If those were from California, they'd be $150.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, the value for money in Washington wines is amazing. You can get really nice, drinkable, high level of execution reds from Washington State between $15 and $25 that if they were from California, they'd be $50 to $70.
Interesting.
And then the higher level wines that are 45 or
red
50.
Wine shopping with you sometime?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay.
Why not? Love it.
Well, it's really pretty interesting. So this is really another really great. I love all the nuances that you're talking about for each of these. They sound so different, but you really kind of, I can almost taste it when I'm listening to you. So
that's the goal. I mean, there's so much to talk about with wine. It's an incredibly personal experience, but I always say when people are like, oh, I don't like this or I don't like that, there is a perfect wine for everyone because wine is just as diverse and just as different as humanity. And no matter who you are, there are perfect wines for you from just about every region, made from just about every grape. It's just about trying things and getting a sense of what yours and what you enjoy and exploring.
Awesome. All right, guys, we are going to end our tour now. It's really been fun. It's been amazing. Morgan, thank you so much for helping me kind of showcase this home. And
well, thank you so much for having me.
what's so special about like living in a place like this for the holidays and
Yeah.
and
Well,
guys,
because
if hmm?
oh, I was just gonna say, where you live and what you drink are the same. It's it's about how you interact. It's how you interact with the people that you love. I mean, when do you have a great bottle of wine? When you're with people that you love, or when you want to just be with yourself and have an experience. And it's the same thing in your house. You're there when you want to just enjoy yourself. You're there when you want to enjoy other people.
Yeah. So, well, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much to
Yeah.
you, and thank you to Bottles Up. You guys have been awesome. And
Yep.
if anyone has questions about this home or another home like this that they need during COVID, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help you find your perfect dream home that you can spend the holidays in. And if you want some wine education, classes, and corporate or personal wine tastings, just call Morgan, right?
Yeah.
Adventure, singular, in a glass.
That's right.
All right, guys. So thanks a bunch. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. All
Yeah. Thanks
right.
for having me. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. All right. Bye, guys. Bye,
Bye.
Zara. Bye, Kitty. All right. Bye, guys.